Hello and welcome back to Growing with the Moon. So it's roundup time. I thought I'd tell you how I did over the summer. To be honest, after all the planting at the right times according to the lunar calendar, the results were not great in terms of food. The yield was better in terms of lessons and what I should be doing rather than what I actually did. So yeah, we certainly wouldn't have survived on what we grew, but the lessons have been very useful, and so going forward hopefully we'll do a lot better. What were the successes and what were the failures? Really the biggest failure was not preparing properly. We didn't properly treat the ground before we started planting, and so that resulted in fairly poor crops. Also, to be honest, I got distracted really. After planting I got involved in building a shed and a wood store, and after about a month I turned around to look at the field again, and it was waist high in weeds, so that didn't help either really. Another problem we had was ants. Due to the mild winter last year, there were a lot of ants, and I think they helped themselves more to the leafy produce more than we did. So there were a few of the challenges. Success with the strawberries, which we planted not expecting anything this year. They delivered a bit, and one of the fruit trees, the apple tree, that delivered about 4 or 5 apples, which we weren't expecting. So yeah, I think the message from the moon really was magic, yeah, miracles, maybe not. So anyway, this year next year we've started this year. We managed to get a trailer load of cow manure from the local friendly farmer, so that's gone in. You probably can't see it from here, but in the lines here I've laid some manure. Hopefully that will rot down over the winter, and in the spring I'll turn it over again, and we should have some richer soil. Also in the raised beds. Actually, the raised beds did better than the ground. So at some point over the winter or into the early spring, I shall make some more raised beds. I've got some rotting wood lying around. I shall turn that into raised beds and make a few more. In the polytunnel, we didn't really use that to its full extent, although it's still a problem with the fairly poor soil. But in there I've made some raised areas using some old scrap bricks that were lying around. So yeah, we should try and use that more intensively going forward. I'll just show you around some of the bits we've done to prepare for the winter. Okay, here you see our fruit trees. They were planted in the spring, and the advice was in the winter to surround them with some old fir tree branches. And apparently in the winter the burrowing animals, the rabbits and such, like to work on the bark of young trees. So I've arranged on each of the trees a bunch of these old branches, and they're just basically propped up. We had some strong winds a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of these were actually blown down, so I'm hoping that we haven't caused too much damage to them. But anyway, the idea is they should be, if anyone wants to do any clawing away at bark, they'll choose these old fir branches rather than get in into the new fruit trees. So that's one thing we've done to prepare for winter. Here you can see our gooseberry plants that I put in the field. They were taken from underneath the trees nearer the house. The idea was to give them a bit more light and space. These didn't actually produce anything this year. I'm hoping it's just because they were settling in. The gooseberries nearer the house were delivering okay, so maybe next year these will be better. I've put some manure around them anyway to give them something to munch on through the winter. blackberry bushes. They went in. They were rescued from other areas around here, and they've done nothing. But again, hopefully they're just settling in. Weeding around here, like I said before, these weeds got out of control, and had to relocate these by weeding around. So yeah, that's why it looks all a bit tidier now. We did some weeding. These are some more fruit bushes. Can't remember exactly what they are, but anyway, they've been fed with some manure. These are the strawberries. There was a lot of shoots came off the strawberries as well as fruit, so we've planted a few more of those and fed them compost. So hopefully this area will eventually, I'll have to develop this area as these plants produce more plants. We'll have to try and expand all of this out a bit, although they only apparently grow for like 3 or 4 years, and then they don't produce anymore. But they sort of reproduce new plants, and it's like an exponential growth. So I don't know how big I'm going to have to work on this area. Yeah, there's a few more plants there waiting with compost, a few more berry bushes. So yeah, hopefully this whole area will develop nicely into a bit of a strawberry field. That's the plan anyway. We'll see. This was a new raised bed I've made this autumn specifically for garlic. So got some garlic in there, and hopefully next summer we should be able to start eating our own garlic. Plus one clove will hopefully, or 2 cloves will hopefully make the seeds for next autumn's plot. Yeah, so we'll see how that does. So this is the top of the field. I acquired a rotavator this year, and my first attempt with it was to turn over the top of the field here. Now, because of the waist high weeds, I spent most of my time pulling weeds out from between the blades of the rotavator, and after most of a day of doing this bit, and the swearing and the cursing and the bleeding and the bruises that came from it, I decided it wasn't going to be such a tenable, viable thing to do the whole field this way. So I've just left this bit. Hopefully next year this is going to be the potato patch. I'm going to turn it over again in the spring, and we can use this bit to grow potatoes in, which I believe not the most fussy plant to in terms of what soil they can be grown in. I put a little bit of the compost in this area, so hopefully it will provide it with a bit of nutrient. Just looking over next door's perfectly done field, they grow potatoes in there, so hopefully we can emulate their efforts and make some potatoes. But yeah, you can see the rest of the field where these weeds are totally out of control. But I'm finding as I pull them out, slowly I'm starting to get rid of them. You can see where the lines are that I'll be using again next year. But it's just grass growing back, really. If I pull out the weeds well enough, hopefully over time, and this is something that's going to be keeping me occupied for a few years, hopefully over time we'll just tame it a bit and it will just be grass. Obviously the big thing I've learned this year is that it's weeding. It's all about weeding forever, weeding all the time, and that will hopefully give a bit more chance for the products, but we'll see. So there you have it. There's a roundup of where I'm at and what I'm doing. Like I say, not a great success in terms of food, but a great success in terms of lessons, and that's what it's all about, really. I'm not down on the moon about it, because I know that there's more to it than just expecting the moon to do all the work. So yeah, I'll be preparing better next year, and like I said, we've started already, so I'm very positive about it. I'll be working through the winter and researching best ways and best practices, and hopefully over the time I can share some of that with you. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll keep you posted. Bye for now.